So yeah, what's bringing you all down?
Keep an eye on the cops. We're out here with the protesters.
We want to keep the protesters safe. Look at what the fuck just happened.
Yep.
So yeah, are you talking about yesterday?
No, I'm talking about like
just
an
now?
hour ago.
Those are real shots. So this is coming off, you know what happened yesterday in Kenosha, right?
Right.
So do you understand that like people would have weird interpretations of what you all are doing?
I understand.
We know, and we know the risks that come with it. But
so I don't know if you've looked into that dude. We figured out who he was about 30 minutes after it happened. We had intel teams on it. Guy had a page full of thin blue line shit. Fucking police cadet. Mom was a cop. That's what he came there to do. It's not what we're about. We're with the Mujahideen. Anybody with a boog patch, fucking against the police. That's what it comes down to. We have nothing to do with that guy.
Anybody that's a true Boogaloo person.
That's
is against
correct.
the police.
Obviously, someone could
Anybody
pretend
can
to be
wear a
with us.
patch. I could say I'm a cop. I'm not a cop. Too fat to be one. But a true boog person is for everybody.
Yep.
Liberty and justice for all, not a select few.
We were out here for the first round of protests, and you can find pictures and media from me then. So you can verify who I am, verify that I haven't been out here hurt protesters. I've been out here on y'all's side. Now that it's starting again, we're out here to do the same thing. We want to back y'all up, and if the police start shooting you, we're going to shoot back.
We don't like the state. Y'all like the state. We don't like the state. We're all Americans, right?
Why do you think you were here first? Why do you think you were here first?
We didn't say that.
You said you were here before he was.
He said he was here with me.
That's what That's not what we said.
They said that they're with us, but they're here to make sure that there's no violence, looting, or rioting.
Oh, we don't care about that. We just don't want you touching the monuments. If y'all go burn down the police station, we won't stop you. We won't stop you burning down the police station. We don't give a shit.
No matter what.
If you guys want to go hit the police station, I don't care.
Washington Post had a big article yesterday about men in Hawaiian shirts showing up at these protests.
Lott believes 24-year-old Joshua Barnard, the man he says is caught on video stealing a police jacket from a patrol car, could be involved.
There's a lot of information that he's part of the Boogaloo organization. It's a very radical group. Their mission is to create a new civil war.
The loosely organized group claims to be an anti-government movement that advocates for a violent uprising targeting liberal political opponents and law enforcement.
I see similarities between this group and others.
Dr. Catherine Barbieri is an associate professor of political science at USC. She's researched groups similar to the Boogaloo organization.
So what they're really trying to do is attack and destroy the society in which they're operating. It sounds like this group in particular is trying to intervene into the protest movement to create more disruption, and perhaps to make it look like it's the Black Lives Matter group that's perpetrating the violence.
We captured Barnard in our footage from Saturday. At one point, he's seen standing with a group of men in Hawaiian shirts. One held a sign that said, "Black Lives Matter."
Extremist groups operate in a clandestine way, and so they're able to infiltrate groups themselves, to become members of a particular group or just to blend with the remainder of the group.
Sheriff Lott says he spoke with Barnard at the protest Saturday. He says the group claimed they were asked to provide security for the event. We reached out to the organizer of Saturday's protest directly, and he says this claim is false.
The word Boogaloo is a throwback to Afro-Latino dance and music made popular in the 60s on shows like American Bandstand. Despite the air of joviality, this movement that's co-opted its name has proven to be deadly serious.
They are an extremist group. Their rhetoric, their pedigree and everything is based on violence against peace officers and others that they disagree with.
They glorify violence, and they believe that they need to take any steps in order to protect what they view as their rights being trampled. In an environment like this, that can create a lot of potential violence.
Their hero is a deranged welder, Marv Heemeyer, who in 2004 drove a bulldozer through a Colorado town, demolishing everything in sight in a feud with town officials. When he was cornered, he killed himself.
In the last month, half a dozen men have been arrested associated with the Boogaloo Boys.
We're just a group that believes in ultimate personal freedom, as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Boogaloo is just like a term for a second civil war that a lot of these disparate anti-government groups want to kick off.
The name is a reference to an 80s film, Breakin 2 Electric Boogaloo. Online groups started referring to a potential civil war or revolution as Civil War II Electric Boogaloo.
But their political beliefs are wide.
The Boogaloo movement actually is a variety of movements that come together.
From libertarian groups, Tea Party groups, anti-government groups generally.
From very liberal to very conservative, from pro-Trump to anti-Trump.
And they've sort of banded together recently in Facebook groups, on Reddit, and on 4chan to try to incite more violence.
And perhaps to make it look like it's the Black Lives Matter group that's perpetrating the violence.
Many wear Hawaiian shirts and carry flags that have a big igloo because it sounds like Boogaloo.
But it's important to remember, there is no recognized command and control of the Boogaloos, nor is there an agreed-on manifesto, and the lack of organization among them and other groups makes it harder on law enforcement.
Some members have been accused of using the protest to act on Boogaloo's violent promise of inciting discord. In the last 3 months, several alleged members across the country have been charged with crimes. In Las Vegas, federal authorities say 3 alleged Boogaloo members were found possessing Molotov cocktails. They were arrested. They have since been charged with federal and state crimes, including a conspiracy to commit acts of terrorism. All 3 men have pled not guilty. And in Oakland, authorities say Air Force Sergeant Stephen Carrillo, a self-avowed Boogaloo member who had posted about the movement online, and Robert Justice Jr. drove this white van to the federal courthouse there, then shot and killed federal officer Patrick Underwood.
They came to Oakland to kill cops.
A week later, a witness spotted that van 70 miles away near Santa Cruz, California.
The witness observed what appeared to be ammunition, firearms, and bomb-making equipment in the van.
Sheriff deputies followed the van back to Carrillo's home. There, authorities say he ambushed officers, firing on them and throwing explosives. Another officer, Santa Cruz Sheriff Sergeant Damon Gutzweiler, was killed. 2 other officers were wounded. Carrillo went on the run in a white sedan, hitting yet another officer.
Somebody please come help!
Finally, a Good Samaritan tackles him, and police find what they say was a ghost gun, a homemade AR-style rifle he'd allegedly used, and as he was led away, Carrillo yells, "This is what I came to fight. I'm sick of these." Authorities say Carrillo scrawled "Boog" in blood on one of the vehicles he stole, and in his van, a bulletproof vest with a patch that tied him to the Boogaloo movement. Carrillo and Justice have been indicted and face charges of murder and attempted murder. Both have pled not guilty.
He was a lone wolf, and we do not condone violence or his actions. They were disgusting. He was not doing that in the defense of anybody's individual liberty.
Do you think it's a problem for the Boogaloo that people identify them with Stephen Carrillo's alleged attack on police?
Yes, it has. It has been harmful to some things with us, yes.
So you've actually turned people away who've been advocating violence?
Absolutely.
We take the streets! Who are we? We take the streets!
But these Boogaloos claim they are non-violent, and they become a self-involved fixture in protests across the country. Never formally invited, but making their presence known.
One of the methods of recruiting is joining these protests and putting on a positive face that they are joining the people.
This is another Boogaloo member who wants to be called Trashman. He says he works construction in North Carolina by day. By night, he helps run one of the largest Boogaloo groups on Facebook.
I first became involved in it, or I guess more aware of it, through social media, through Facebook.
Trashman isn't carrying a gun because he says he's a non-violent Boogaloo.
What brought me into this ideology was the inclusion of others. It's not relegated to a certain class of people or a color of people or religion.
Sounds pretty middle of the road, but despite their claims of nonviolence, Homeland Security and the Department of Justice have labeled them as a violent extremist group.
The biggest misconception of the Boogaloo movement is that we're racist terrorists or extremists of any kind.
Facebook and the private messaging service Discord recently categorized the Boogaloos as extremists and purged their groups from the platforms.
Beginning of July, we were shut down on Facebook, my personal profile, as well as, from what I understand, hundreds, if not thousands of others were permanently deactivated on Facebook. It was a smack in the face, for sure.
All they did is fracture us into 1,000 more harder to find pieces, so it didn't slow us down one bit.
Even with the burgeoning attention, the Boogaloos remain very cloak and dagger. But Shifty feels they need to capitalize on the wave of unrest sweeping the country.
Why is it important for you to do this interview, Shifty?
Too many times we do not get a sit down in a relaxed environment to really express our views and really get the word out for what we're standing for, you know, in face, and let people know that this isn't just some internet meme or Facebook group with a bunch of guys sitting in their mother's basements typing on keyboards. This is a real thing.
While some, like Shifty and Trashman, say they toe the nonviolent line, they stand at the ready. The reality of the Boogaloo's anti-government ethos is always present.
So how far are you willing to go, even, let's say, at a protest like a BLM protest?
There's always the phrase, live to fight another day, but everybody who in our group is prepared to give the ultimate sacrifice in defense of liberty.
Our only recourse at this point is to be louder than everybody else. We need to make our voices very clear and very loud to both unify us and distance ourselves from those that would cause harm to people or present us in a bad light.
I think their ideology and everything tells you exactly what they're here for. Are they here to stay? I think time is going to tell. These groups don't go away. They may morph, change their name, change their style, change their membership, but the ideologies usually don't change.
They call us gorillas, we brawling, you in coffins with killers. You at the auction, I'm bossing, smoking cigars at the dealer. Nigga, I'm illa, count skrilla like casinos, only Cinos and Nova. I'm a cancer nigga, no chemo, I'm dancing with satanic people. Life is illegal, I'm heroin in the needle, my emotions are see-through. I'm evil, read your palm before dawn and spawn. Calm before the storms, Katrina, nigga, I'm drawn. Too much to handle in seconds, I manhandle the peasant. Dismantle is pleasant, turning hell to my heaven. I excel with my brethren, giving birth to nuclear weapons. I'm shooting your henchmen. Every written verse is a lesson. I'm close to perfection. With rap, nigga, I'm flawless. I'm God's light, the type to illuminate in the darkness. Hand me the trophy, the gold medals and plaques. The torch is lit. I scorch a click, nigga, I'm back. Yo, if I ain't on my grind, then I'm high, trying to take a check. I done hustled on the hottest block and I ain't break a sweat. AKs and texts make them vacate a set. If he ain't trying to pay his debt, then we gotta spray his neck. You can lay the rest, nigga, this is Murderville. Now smell the essence of the L, nigga, this is earth for real. Fuck a bitch, I leave a nigga burn for real. Signed to the streets, but the judge ain't served a deal. I just turn the wheel, hit a back block and wait for a pussy to creep. Give him a back shot, now sing a lullaby. Sorry mama, I'm mangled and I'm about to catch a motherfucking homicide. This bitch named Karma got me going crazy in this fucking high. Don't wanna go away, I'm like an addict in this fucking prime lit. Trying to get it hit, hungry for this money. If it's tension in the room, then you know it's coming from me. We pull them Glocks out, we about to make a change. One to wipe your block out, guaranteed to hit your frame. This'll hit the vein, the official pistol game. Pharaoh click a nigga sicker, quick enough to split your brain. We pull them Glocks out, we about to make a change. One to wipe your block out, guaranteed to hit your frame. This'll hit the vein, the official pistol game. Pharaoh click a nigga sicker, quick My rap will give you fucking brain cancer. Different question, cousin, same answer. Y'all motherfuckers made me scrap like I was Kane's dancer. But there's a method to my madness, unusual still. They call me Pistol Pete Maravich, moving the pill. We push a lot of everything, but it's usually krill. We use a lot of weaponry when you gruesomely killed. I thought a lot of destiny, but it's truthfully will. That could make a warrior like Zeus if he's truthfully ill. I went to hell and then I saw the abyss, where dirtbag drink from the same water he pissed. It's Armageddon when I ball up the fist. It's God consciousness that started this remarkable gift. I was a martyr, it was horror when my father was sick. I was a monster, I would stomp you in the yard with a brick. I'm a survivor, but I got the fucking charm of a pit. That just attacked you, now you got your fucking arm in his grip.
Niggas try to hate, we don't hear the side talk. Them loud mouths, gotta hit them with the wide hawk. Barack wants help, all my bodies by him chalk. My niggas upstate, squared with the fried shark. This for y'all, wild out. When your cells crack, you know your time short. When they tryna send your mail back. We catch bodies for the love of the block. I collect shit, I got a hammer and a glove of a cop. So while you hugging model Johns, I was hugging the block. 1 for the money, 2 for the pop, 3 for a rock, yeah. Samson Dean when I'm pulling a scam quick. Or Reservoir Dogs, lay your grill on the canvas. The flow's diesel, but the game is sour. And use a pussy where I'm from, that's the name of a coward. So when you get your weight up, I'm already in power. Who wants war? My niggas fly planes in the towers. Pharaoh.
Hey, yo, TP, we putting blocks out. We about to make a change. One to wipe your block out. Guaranteed to hit your frame. This'll hit the vein. The official pistol game. Pharaoh, put your niggas sick or quick enough to split your brain. We put them blocks out. We about to make a change. One to wipe your block out. Guaranteed to hit your frame.